how is it for you when you just have to be the dancer?
God, I fucking love it.
Yes, me too.
I fucking love it. I love just showing up and having no responsibility other than my own choreography. It's like, I'm just here to just learn some shit, and then I fucking leave.
Yeah, I'm one of the fuckheads just off on the side goofing off.
What I've noticed about Lizelle, the goddess Lizelle, is that I feel like I feel so safe when I've been in dance situations with her because she like if she has an agenda, she's like, from 7 to 7:02, we're doing this.
Yeah.
You will do it. Like, that's what's happening.
I like
it's in a natural, gentle way, but like it's happening. Like, she is so planned out, fucking lesson plan.
Yeah, I liked when my first rehearsal with her, she was like, only these people need to be at rehearsal. Everyone else, you know, like the appropriate people needed to be there. So that way there's no other people just sitting around. Right. So like I really like took a note from that and helped with temper tantrum rehearsals. It's like super, I give like detailed, like we have a 15-minute window for people to come in, but then from this time to this time, all learning. A lot of the times we've ended early because I don't have anything else planned. I don't want to force the issue on anyone. Like, right. And I send everyone formations with their faces on it. So even though they're missing, I send, before even the first rehearsal starts, I film myself doing a tutorial version of the choreography. So you have an idea before rehearsal starts. I even once all formations are done, I start doing feedback videos. So it's like I run it and I start saying your angle's off, like as game tape, and I send it to everyone.
Oh, nice. So the cleaning notes we can peruse at our leisure.
Yeah.
And keep growing in between rehearsals.
Yeah. So it's like I never wanted an excuse for people to not show up on time or for us to, you know, I never wanted to waste anyone's time. I hate wasting time. It pisses me off when I'm sure you've experienced it when you go to a rehearsal, fucking art director doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. And like, we're just fucking hanging out. I'm like, I don't want to hang out. We're here to work.
Or they're like, I just made this up in the car.
Yeah.
And they use that as like, I've had that happen several times where they use that as like a point of pride. Like, I'm unprepared.
Yeah, I hated that.
Like, that's not a thing to be proud of. Like, I don't understand this tone.
Yeah, like I hate trying to figure it out when you're supposed to be doing the work. I love the pre-planning, so that way when it's time for rehearse, we get it done, and whatever we can fix. You know, I either through video notes, we can give each other feedback. Yeah, I just hate the idea of wasting people's time because, especially since for me, I consider myself a time Nazi. Like I'm very protective of like things that intrude my schedule.
You need to find other words other than Nazi. I'm a fat Nazi.
That's true.
We need to find another. Erase that for a moment.
I'm shit. That's true. Fair, because it's not this time. Yeah, but yeah, like because then at the same time I see it in other people's like, damn, they could be doing something else right now. I better make this time worth it, so they're not just fucking, you know, perusing and just lollygagging, standing around in rehearsals. I always hated the idea of, especially when I was running FanBiz, 9 to 6 a.m. rehearsals. Like, why do we need to overwork our dancers who aren't getting paid? Why can't we just be prepared ahead of time, get it done, and be prepared with changes you want to make? Don't try to make changes on the spot, because I know it's an art, but I've been in rehearsals where they're doing formations and then readjusting formations, and then next rehearsal they 86 the formations and then do it again.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I guess there's a time and a place for it, but it's like if there's a deadline, done is better than perfect.
Right.
Because like you want the dancers to feel comfortable on stage instead of like, oh, I need to move to the spot. You don't want them thinking about that stuff. Like I what do you call, one of the dancers, like she wanted a center. She wanted a spot from one of our City Walk performances. She wanted the spot. She can do it, but when she was performing it, she wasn't performing it. You can see in her face she was like thinking about it. So the day of, after tech rehearsal, when I watched, I took her off. So it's like, yeah, I did, and I told her, and it was for the betterment of everyone.
I didn't know it was like that though.
Yeah, because I mean I told her, like, it's not like you suck, get the fuck out.
Right.
I'll say that as a joke, but like I'll be like this, like so and so, like I appreciate that you did your best, you learned the choreography, you tried to clean it up, but from what I just saw out there, you're uncomfortable, and I'd much rather have you feel comfortable and confident with everything else instead of trying to remember everything you just learned.
Yeah, you got to make the hard call.
So it's like,
you got to make those hard. You got to make the call.
yeah. Aside, speaking of hard calls, aside from of passively kicking the other person out, what were some other hard calls that you had to do?
Oh God, you know what? There was a girl in high school because I was the captain of my high school team, and I'll always regret. I mean, this was a hard call, but it was the wrong call. I'll always regret like not taking this one girl on because I like still remember it. It came back to me like maybe 2 months ago. I started thinking about her for some reason. I don't know why. But I feel like I was so intent on everybody needs to be clean. Everybody needs to be clean that I didn't take this girl on who had like no experience. But really it was like she would have been the best team member because she was the most excited to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for an entire semester, she wasn't on the team, right? And then when she auditioned again, we put her on, and I was like, I'm done. I was in high school, you know what I mean? I was like 16 and a half.
Yeah.
I was an idiot. Like I was dumb.
We like it's often the ones that are like most excited and the least talented that are going to give their most.
Yeah, they're going to be the cleanest. That's the thing. They get the most clean because they're the ones who are actually paying attention to every cleaning note.
Yeah. Oh,
they're, like,
yeah.
very aware that they're not the strongest dancer, and they're like, fuck.
How did you deal with experienced dancers and egos?
We didn't have that really on my college team. Everyone was a fucking gem, I gotta say.
Damn. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, truly. And I guess that was just my experience. Everyone was just so lovely and charming. I'm hitting up this one guy. I have to text him again, but I'm asking him to teach my students. He was a choreographer on that team. They're all phenomenal. I would say that happened in high school. It was the last time I experienced like ego trips while on leadership with somebody. And it's interesting because in my experience, the people with the big egos did not have the talent. Whereas the people who were kind of like a little more humble, like there's one girl that she was in leadership with me her senior year, and I won't say who it is, but she's, on TV now, she's on Hulu, she's doing all these things.
Wow.
And she was a little more like humble about her shit. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
She was leading with me, but there wasn't like, she wouldn't come in like, she would kind of come in like, all right, I just came in from soccer, like, all right, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, but she was trying her best. She was doing different shit. But like, I feel like the egos for me happened like the year after that. There was a lot more ego going on. And I gotta say, I got a lot of reports back that like after I graduated, the team like started getting really shitty. Like a lot of people were like people I didn't even talk to that much came up to me and they were like, I gotta tell you something. I don't know if you're gonna like hearing this, but I feel like I gotta tell you. The dance team, it's not good. They're not good anymore. And I was like, you know what I mean? But I feel like it was kind of like this lack of experience combined with ego that created that situation. So I've never actually had to deal in leadership with egos other than those of children. Which are arguably much worse, actually.
Children?
I've dealt with some children with ego issues, and then you meet their parents, and you're like, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had to deal with more that kind of shit, like parents with egos or children who have a lot of egos, but I don't really invite those people on my team. Those are more like classes I've taught, as opposed to like people I've invited into my space.
Yeah, because then you're allowing that thing to kind of, yeah.
Why would I do? Like, I'm not gonna invite a child who's like super sassy and ungrateful to join my team. I'm not gonna do that, because they still have some learning to do. They have some growing to do.
I mean, why wouldn't you want to take on the responsibility for that learning for them?
I think because it's a disrespect to the other kids at this point.
I'm
like, you know what? you're in this class, and that's fine for you right now.
Mm.
But for my business, like, that's the other thing too. Like, I was having this conversation with, like, I'm part of this, my boss invites me to these things where it's like people from a lot of different careers all meet together and discuss their small businesses.
Yeah.
Somebody was like really trying to like tell me that I should like go all in on my business to like make the most money possible. And I was like, I don't think so, because I want to work with people that I like. This is my business. I want to teach kids that they just have a good attitude. Like, that's who I want to work with. You know what I mean? It's like, are you going to invite some person on temper tantrums that's like a little shithead that's like punching you in the face?
That's all of you guys. Oh God. Yeah, but I hear where you're coming from, because you're choosing more like, in a sense, happiness versus the greed of it, because you probably can, but that would means, again, it goes to the question, at what cost?
And it actually, there is a financial cost when running a company, because if you bring in, as I learned, if you got one toxic person, it ruins the whole vibe, because they are touching on everybody's nerves. You know what I mean? So if you have one person, it can bring down the whole thing. So I'm like, you know what? If this is a mom that's really, really rude to me and really aggressive with me, and her kid is talented as hell, you're not invited. I honestly don't care. Because I don't want people showing up and feeling like, oh God, this person. Or the little ones. I don't want the kids to feel that way either. I don't want a kid bullying the other kid.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Because really, what you're doing is, again, I that's why I admire about your work, because you're arming them with tools that both you and I had to learn the hard way, and we're saving them from so much heartache. For them, it's going to be natural. They're going to, so who knows, maybe down the road, they might not be interested in dance, but because you taught them basic camera work, they might want to be filming instead and working with dancers. So
the way that you watch TV, the way that you watch movies, the way you participate in content videos, like everything changes when you have these things, these foundations. And I can't teach it if somebody got an attitude. I ain't trying to mess with that.
Just to educate the audience, what's the name of your company so they know?
Well, right now we're called Kids Hop Dance Crew. We're at kidshopdancecrew.com, and we are going to be changing that name because, and this is something else I learned too, is on my college team actually, there was like a name that had been started like 8 years prior, and all of us on the team like didn't really vibe with it, and someone approached me, they're like, hey, so like just what would happen if we had a new, like, I mean, just, I don't want to offend you or anything. Like, they thought I came up with a name. And I was like, I just showed up here. I didn't come up with this name. And they're like, what if we change the name? And I was like, oh, thank God. And they were like, oh, okay. And so then we talked about the purpose of the team, and we figured out, like, what is our vibe. And then, like, one of the guys on the team, such a sweetheart, he kind of like came up with this name, and then we came up with like how we were gonna like brand it, like shorten it or whatever. So I mean, that's sort of what I'm gonna do with my team, because my kids, some of them I've been teaching them since they were 3, and now they're like 12.
Shit.
So yeah, we gotta get a name that makes sense for them, and so I'm gonna have them do it, and I'm gonna have them make a new logo, and they're doing all the work.
Nice.
I'm like, it's your team.
They're like taking real ownership of it, and I think that's what like gets people in even more, is when they take ownership of
exactly.
the company.
It's your shit. You're the one who's showing up to rehearsals. You're the one learning and working hard. Like, what are you getting out of it? They're gonna come up with shit I never thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll guide them, but Kids Hop Dance Crew right now. But as they're getting older, I don't know what they want to be called that. So we'll reestablish.
Like, what drove you? Because I know you were working with kids, but like, why not make a company for adults? Like how I'm stupidly doing.
Okay, here's the thing. I would love that, and I have so many thoughts. There's so many ideas. Okay, but the thing is that adults, at least all the talented, glorious adults that I know, are poor as fuck. Nobody's gonna pay me to teach them. You feel me?
Yeah, I hear you.
So like I'm paying my friends to teach my students. So this is like a way of me slowly starting to
Yeah.
to my friends who've taught me and who've just are fucking dope as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's more about like I wanted to have a company and a thing that I own, which is, you know, working with kids, it's a little easier because their parents are like, this seems great. I will invest in this.
Yeah.
My child. Yeah. So I can make money.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I can do acting and dance and creative projects that are a little bit more of like what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I have like another source of income that's helping me to create those things. So that was more the intention. It wasn't like an end goal. It was like a means to other creative ends. A really fun way to take every single thing that I'm doing and like bring that in as a lesson plan to constantly help the next generation like learn from my fucking mistakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it makes sense because like obviously parents of adult dancers, they're not gonna pay for it, but yeah, but there's definitely parents who are willing to pay for programs like this to help get their kids. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And learning and
yeah. Okay, that makes yeah, because in my head, like when the beginning of this year, I'm like how do we just not make it for fun? How do we start earning other ways of doing it? So it's just like obviously you see me like I'm trying to do a million different ways for us. Like
I feel like that's like it's wise and it makes sense.
Because I appreciate that. Because half the time I'm like, I hope they're enjoying what we're doing at least.
I definitely get what you're doing, and it makes a lot of sense. And I love like your authenticity, and I love how in our very first meeting, I hope it's okay to say on this, but I mean you can edit if it's not, but I love that in the first meeting you like talked about money and you had like done research and you were like, it's hard to make money. You were like, it takes this many years to even have a hope of people paying us to do the things that we do. But here's why I think we have a shot. And here's what I'm going to do for you guys to see if we can make that happen. It was like, so this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you better be grateful to me because I'm giving you an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a vibe like I can get behind.
Like, I appreciate that. Like, yeah, because again, it was like the whole thing. I'm like, people are excited for it, and in my head, I'm like, do you know how much work needs to happen for us to even be profitable? And I'm like, we might not be profitable for the first 3 years. So
because like that's how things work.
Yeah. So like,
that's how things work.
That's why I'm still trying to make us create stuff despite the pandemic, because ultimately I think people will buy personalities and then buy into the whole company. Because I think who's doing it? Condé? No, was it Bon Appetit? They were doing that. Like people. It's a what do you call it? YouTube show with the cooking and all that stuff. They were selling personalities that they can get around. Like if you look at Friends, like people love that because everyone had such a unique personality, so to speak.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to angle us with the podcast, the reaction videos, and then with the dance videos, here's an angle of how we can potentially present a problem in our voice or how we can dance with a product, which is the whole here's a thing. Like it's for us to share something personal and whatever that may look like. But to me, it's a way for us to show that we can dance with the product. So
things I love about that. You're like fully embracing our ability to create our own shit. Yeah. You're giving like respect to the creativity of your people, which I love. 2, there's like a business like purpose behind it. And then 3, I have a thing that I came up with that the here's the thing would be my friend's brand that he started.
Oh.
So that's going to be my thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a little more like on the nose of what you're trying to say to potential people who might pay us money.
Yeah.
Because I had like a bunch of ideas that were like comedic and insane. But I feel like that's something that I'm like, okay, I'm tired as fuck in this pandemic. There is no time or space. What is a thing that makes sense? So I think that's the thing that like makes sense to do.
Sick. Yeah. As long as like whatever you feel good about, and that's all that matters to me, as long as you enjoy it. Because it's different when I say, here's the concept, you have to do what I'm saying. Like now it's like, here's the idea, here, see how you guys interpret it.
Right.
So, and I'm trying to like make it not so corny, or try to, I don't know, like for me, I hate one trick ponies. Like it has to serve multi purposes, like, which is this podcast. Not just a podcast, it's going to be mini episodes, it's going to be TikTok videos, it's going to be Instagram posts. So it's going to be and it's going to be something that helps someone in their own journey.
Yeah.
So
it's like
yeah,
coconut oil. You can use coconut oil for anything.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, cool. So let's go into the rapid fire segment. You ready? So continue. Give you 10 questions, and yeah, you're ready.
Okay.
All right. What product would you refuse to promote?
Anything related to Amazon. I hate everyone who's rich.
Fair. What's your favorite song?
Get Your Freak On, Missy Elliott.
Favorite. Okay. What annoys you?
People.
Oh my god.